Welcome to our Interfaith Devotional and Climate Conversation. Really pleased to see you all here. We've asked everyone to mute themselves. We're going to start the devotional program very soon, and then you'll be able to come off of mute for the climate conversation section of this hour. My name is Nikki Daniels. I'm the Wilmot Institute Registrar, and I'm pleased to introduce you. Many of you may already know Sue Blythe. She is one of our Wilmot Institute students and learners, and she and Martine, she will introduce Martine, who is her friend, who has also been with us in previous webinars of the Wilmot Institute. Sue's is the brainchild. This is the brainchild of Sue, and we're going to have a good time today. She will explain to you how the program will go. And first, now I'm going to ask her to introduce the speakers and panelists and well, I should say, co-hosts of this event.
Thank you so much, Nikki. It's just such a joy to be here and to see so many familiar faces. And I am delighted to be presenting something from Gainesville, Florida, and the Baha'is of Alachua County, who have sponsored with the Baha'i-inspired Interfaith Climate Group a climate conversation for our area. We are now taking it into a larger program that is supporting an initiative of the, we're calling it the Climate Collaboratory. It's a pilot project with We the World and the University of Florida Extension. And so we are just really pleased to have 4 readers who are going to be helping us today. And we have Kian, Martine, Eridwin, and Nikki, who are going to be helping us with the readings. So Nikki, if you would start the...
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
So again, this is... Oops, I'm getting an echo. What we're doing is hosting a spiritual approach to a climate emergency conversation. And the International Day of Peace is tomorrow. And so you'll see quite a bit of readings from the world's religions and wisdom traditions, including the Promise of World Peace and the Earth Charter. And we'd like you to please have writing materials available, because we will have a little 5-minute session for writing your own thoughts and then breaking out into small groups for discussion. So again, the Baha'i-inspired Interfaith Climate Group supports a community-wide climate emergency conversation to action program. It's a pilot project of We the World and the University of Florida Extension. So the underlying principle of this work is that religion, according to the Baha'i writings, religion is the outer expression of the divine reality. Therefore, it must be living, vitalized, moving, and progressive. And so in that spirit, we begin our devotional portion. You're going to see a video first with United Religions Initiative. And it's a dream of coming together. This is something that's happening this week. There's a caravan of unity crossing the United States, and it is drawing people of all faiths and no faith to come together at this time, especially for the International Day of Peace. So we're going to have prayers and texts from the Baha'i writings, scripture from the world's religions, quotations from other wisdom traditions. We'll read from the Promise of World Peace and the Earth Charter, which was launched 20 years ago as a people's statement of the way it expresses principles and values for a sustainable, just, and peaceful future. And then we'll have a short video about one of our fellow Baha'is, Christine Mueller, who's here with us today, to share her views on climate change. And again, then we'll have the 5 minutes of writing, and then about 15 minutes of reflection in small groups. Okay, so let's begin, Nikki.
We Aboriginals don't separate heaven from earth. We have our dreaming with us at all stages and at all times. First Peoples' cultures have all been connected through their dreaming since the dawn of time. A dreaming of coming together, of humanity in balance with the earth, our mother, and all living beings.
The dream expressed itself anew when the world's religious and spiritual traditions came together for the first time at the Parliament of World Religions in Chicago in 1893.
Sisters and brothers of America, we believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true.
Out of the devastation of World War II, the peoples of the world came together to sign the Charter of the United Nations in 1945. Then, drawing on indigenous wisdom and following the guidance of the wisdom traditions of the world, people of all beliefs gathered to dream URI into being in the year 2000. Like the birth of a star, light becomes matter, thoughts become words, and dreams become reality.
As the dream of unity always finds new ways to express itself, Unity Earth begins its journey of music and spirituality in Chiang Mai with the first U-Day Festival in 2012. Unity Earth's road to 2020 began with an opening ceremony in New York in 2016. This series of global events has held ceremony at sacred places around the world to celebrate the dream of humanity uniting, bringing together religious leaders, indigenous leaders, musicians, activists, and thought leaders. This sacred journey has included honouring the world's oldest living spiritual culture, the Australian Aboriginals, with the return to country of Mungo Man, then onto the cradle of civilization in the Rift Valley of Ethiopia. Major events in North America, to the holy city of Varanasi in India, and most recently across the Holy Land in the Middle East.
Thank you. So that is, as I mentioned, going on this week. They're celebrating now in New York City at the United Nations for the International Day of Peace. And so with that, I'd like to dedicate this devotional session to our peace, to unity, and to the role that we as individuals have to play in that process. So let's begin. Kian?
O Lord, gather all the people beneath the shadow of thy bounty, and cause them to unite in harmony, so that they may become as the rays of one sun, as the waves of one ocean, and as the fruit of one tree. May they drink from the same fountain, may they be refreshed by the same breeze. May they receive illumination from the same source of light. Thou art the giver, the merciful, the omnipotent.
One should always treat others as they themselves wish to be treated.
Whatever is disagreeable to yourself, do not do unto others.
That which is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow.
So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them, for this is the law of the prophets.
None of you truly believes until he wishes for his brother what he wishes for himself.
And if thine eyes can be turned towards justice, choose thou for thy neighbor that which thou choosest for thyself.
The all-knowing physician hath his finger on the pulse of mankind. He perceiveth the disease, and prescribeth in his unerring wisdom the remedy. Every age hath its own problem, and every soul its particular aspiration. The remedy the world needeth in its present day afflictions can never be the same as that which a subsequent age may require. Be anxiously concerned with the needs of the age ye live in, and center your deliberations on its exigencies and requirements.
The climate change problem we face today is unlike any previous challenge confronted by society because it is largely irreversible for 1,000 years after emissions stop, with profound impacts on global climate, ecosystems, and human societies for the next 10 millennia and beyond.
We are at a crucial crossroads where our survival and that of other species is at stake as a result of our actions. Our concern is founded on the Buddha's realization of dependence co-arising, which interconnects all things in the universe. Cultivating the insights of interbeing and compassion, we will be able to act out of love, not fear, to protect our planet.
I want to be a good ancestor. Indigenous peoples' commitments to climate action ensure that we are thinking of the 7 generations to come.
We call on all Muslims, wherever they may be, to tackle the root causes of climate change, environmental degradation, and the loss of biodiversity, following the example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who was, in the words of the Quran, a mercy to all beings.
This is the great new problem of mankind. We have inherited a large house, a great world house, in which we have to live together, black and white, Easterner and Westerner, Gentile and Jew, Catholic and Protestant, Muslim and Hindu, a family unduly separated in ideas, culture, and interest, who, because we can never again live apart, must learn somehow to live with each other in peace.
I urgently appeal, then, for a new dialogue about how we are shaping the future of our planet. We need a conversation which includes everyone, since the environmental challenge we are undergoing and its human roots concern and affect us all.
Science is the first emanation from God towards man. All created things embody the potentiality of material perfection, but the power of intellectual investigation and scientific acquisition is a higher virtue specialized to man alone. Other beings and organisms are deprived of this potentiality and attainment.
We're moving on to the promise of world peace, a statement for the International Year of Peace from the Universal House of Justice in 1985. And I'll read the preamble here. To the peoples of the world, the great peace towards which people of goodwill throughout the centuries have inclined their hearts, of which seers and poets for countless generations have expressed their vision, and for which from age to age the sacred scriptures of mankind have constantly held the promise, is now at long last within the reach of the nations.
For the first time in history, it is possible for everyone to view the entire planet, with all its myriad diversified peoples, in one perspective. World peace is not only possible, but inevitable. It is the next stage in the evolution of this planet.
Whether peace is to be reached only after unimaginable horrors precipitated by humanity's stubborn clinging to old patterns of behavior, or is it to be embraced now by an act of consultative will, is the choice before all who inhabit the earth.
The winds of despair, Baha'i wrote over a century ago, are, alas, blowing from every direction, and the strife that divides and afflicts the human race is daily increasing. The signs of impending convulsions and chaos can now be discerned, inasmuch as the prevailing order appears to be lamentably defective.
World order can be founded only on an unshakable consciousness of the oneness of mankind, a spiritual truth which all the human sciences confirm. Anthropology, physiology, psychology recognize only one human species, albeit infinitely varied in the secondary aspects of life.
Recognition of this truth requires abandonment of prejudice of every kind: race, class, color, creed, nation, sex, degree of material civilization, everything which enables people to consider themselves superior to others.
Acceptance of the oneness of mankind is the first fundamental prerequisite for reorganization and administration of the world as one country, the home of humankind.
Universal acceptance of the spiritual principle is essential to any successful attempt to establish world peace. It should therefore be universally proclaimed, taught in schools, and constantly asserted in every nation as preparation for the organic change in the structure of society which it implies.
We're moving on to the Earth Charter. Crafted by visionaries 20 years ago, the Earth Charter is a document with 16 principles that turn conscience into action. It is a vision of hope and a call to action.
To move forward, we must recognize that in the midst of a magnificent diversity of cultures, and life forms. We are one humanity and one earth community with a common destiny.
Every individual, family, organization, and community has a vital role to play. The arts, sciences, religions, educational institutions, media, businesses, non-governmental organizations, and governments are all called to offer creative leadership. The partnership of government, civil society, and business is essential for effective governance.
Integrate into formal education and lifelong learning the knowledge, values, and skills needed for a sustainable way of life.
Provide all, especially children and youth, with educational opportunities that empower them to contribute actively to sustainable development.
Promote the contribution of the arts and humanities as well as the sciences in sustainability education.
Enhance the role of the mass media in raising awareness of ecological and social challenges.
Recognize the importance of moral and the spiritual education for sustainable living.
I'm Christine Mueller and I live in Kingston, Rhode Island. Well, I have been interested in environmental issues, I think starting from childhood. In the city of Basel, where I lived on the outskirts, I like to play in the wilderness. This wilderness was destroyed by houses being built, and it just raised my awareness about human impact on nature, on the environment. I went to the Alps frequently as a child, and I learned to love the mountains and the glaciers, and I thought these will never be able to be touched by humans. But I was wrong with that. If we want to build a society that is environmentally sustainable, a major transformation has to happen. The changes that need to be made are so huge that we need a spiritual component to that. There are basically two principles that are basic to all religions in terms of taking care of the earth. One is stewardship, and that it is our responsibility to take care of the earth. The respect and love for nature, you find that in all religions. And then the other one is justice and being concerned about poor people and helping everyone, being a considerate society, not self-centered. This is really the essence of the teachings, that we take care of each other. There is one teaching that is particular in the Baha'i faith, which is the oneness of humankind, that just brings that step a little further. So it makes us think when we go through our daily lives. These greenhouse gas emissions will have effect on people. So I have to reflect about my actions when I believe in the oneness of humanity. became involved with Rhode Island Interfaith Power and Light because I felt working together in an interfaith setting has profound effect. While other environmental organizations are wonderful working on many issues, water issues, climate issues, and everything else, there are so numerous problems that need to be worked on. Interfaith Power and Light is a spiritual organization and tries to speak to the heart of people and apply divine teachings. And that's where really transformations happen. Not only individually, but then in whole communities. Always on the weekend of Valentine's Day, IPL is calling for a preach-in, which means that clergy would preach on climate change and help raise awareness among the parishioners. As Baha'is, of course, we don't preach. So Baha'is do different activities like devotional meetings or any type of educational activity. Inform yourself. Learn about the world, about the reality of the world we are in now. Look inside and feel the love and change your actions.
Sue, would you like to take over from here?
Yes, of course. So again, thank you all for helping to bring us to this point where we are again getting ready to celebrate the International Day of Peace tomorrow. And I love this quote from the Earth Charter. It says, "We recognize that peace is the wholeness created by right relationships with oneself, other persons, other cultures, other life, earth, and the larger whole of which all are a part." O compassionate God, thanks be to thee, for thou hast awakened and made me conscious. Thou hast given me a seeing eye and favored me with a hearing ear, hast led me to thy kingdom and guided me to thy path. Thou hast shown me the right way and caused me to enter the ark of deliverance. O thou, the compassionate God, bestow upon me a heart which, like unto a glass, may be illumined with the light of thy love, and confer upon me thoughts which may change this world into a rose garden through the outpourings of heavenly grace. So now I'd like you to take about 5 minutes to reflect on what you've heard and just think about what